Hey everybody, welcome to the Marketing Playbook. My name is Staci Stillmunkes and I am the Agent Marketing Services Coordinator here at Century 21. And I'm super excited to be with the winners of our most recent Pop-By contest today. This was a 4-week contest that we ran and we really just encouraged everyone to get out, have some conversations, connect with their people, and pop by. So like I mentioned, I'm here with our 3 creative winners for our Pop-By contest, and I'm just going to go ahead and hand it off. Taylor, introduce yourself a little bit.
Hi, my name's Taylor Hurd. I am out of the Urbandale office and serve all of the greater Des Moines metro. And I did sick kits for my podcast. Or, oh my gosh, for my Pop-Bys. My goodness, for my Pop-Bys. Wow.
That's all good. You also did some, like, trick or treat little things too, right?
Yeah, so I do a lot of farming in my neighborhood, and I wanted to do something fun last year, and I never achieved it by putting like a really cute, spooky for sale sign outside of my house. And because we were doing this competition, I did 100 goodie bags that looked like little witches' brooms, and I dropped those off at 100 houses in my neighborhood. And then obviously everyone got to come to our door for trick or treat night, and it kind of
Yeah,
all came together.
that's awesome. I remember when you submitted your scorecard with the 100 number, you jumped from, like, the last row to, like, top
Yeah.
3. I was like, "Love that."
Yeah, it was a lot more work than what I thought it was gonna be, and, like, our whole office was, like, ribbon and candy for, like, 2 full weeks because it was a lot of prep, but it was good because I got to meet a couple new neighbors and connect with some older neighbors that I know, as I was dropping them off, so.
That's awesome. I'd love to get into that a little bit more later. Let's go Erica. Hello.
Hi. Hi, I'm Erica Bushaw out of Oelwein. And what I did was some mojito kits. So inside of that was a shot of rum, some homemade mint simple syrup. And then I had a recipe card to make the mojito, and my business card was on the opposite side of that. And then some fresh mint out of our garden and a lime.
That's awesome. I loved, like, the homemade aspect of your simple syrup. I remember when you submitted it, I was, like, telling everyone about it. Is that something that you've done before? Did you do it just for the Popeye contest?
Me personally, no. Actually, it was Travis was the one that started making it. So he had to teach me how to make it. But so that was a fun home experiment.
Yeah, I bet. That's awesome. And then Brandi, hello.
I'm Brandi Nelson. I work out of the Ames office. I work mostly Ames and North. I did several different things for my pop buys. I did a fire blanket bag. I did some pumpkin
That's
carving
the one,
kits.
sorry to interrupt, but that's the one that won her first place. So
Did some pumpkin carving kits and some popcorn little buckets with some microwave popcorn in them. And then I also did my referral people got eye massage things. I don't know how to explain them.
no, I you had some really creative ideas. I was really excited about it. So the fire prevention kit ones, that was for, like, it was fire prevention week, right?
Yeah. So I started out the like second week in October is fire prevention week. So it was just a red bag. It had the fire blanket in it, a box of red hots, a 9-volt battery for their smoke detector, and then a sheet of paper that said it was fire prevention week and that I was there to help keep their home safe and their real estate covered. And then I was a little bit too ambitious and ordered way more than I could get done in 1 week. So then I had to redo my sheet so that it didn't say fire prevention week. And then I did some more the next few weeks.
Not to
That's
interrupt, Brandy,
awesome.
but, like, we saw that in Urbandale, and everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, that was such a good idea." Like, everybody in our office, when we saw that during the meeting, were like, our brains.
Yeah, and
It
they
was super
really
cool.
weren't that expensive. I mean, I got them on Amazon and they weren't, I think they came out to like 350 a piece. So not bad at all.
I think once you watch out for those little, like, appreciation weeks or some of those, like, National Real Estate Day or whatever,
Yeah.
when you find some of the little, like, mini holidays, it's actually pretty easy to create stuff surrounding them. So that was a really awesome idea. But let's go ahead and kind of get started with some questions. I'm excited to dive into how you guys thought about this. The very first thing I really want to know is just very beginning. So I'm pretty sure we announced the Popeye contest at the beginning of October. And I just want to know your initial reaction. So like some people don't really like the concept or idea of Popeyes. Some people love them. I just want to hear your thoughts about that. Let's
I
go to Taylor. You can
I'll say I
you
can go first. So I really love Pop-Bys. I came from my degrees in marketing and public relations, and I like to be super creative. I kind of like coming up with the tags and the ideas, and I'm like Brandi, and I get really ambitious, and I make way too many, and then I'm like, oh my goodness, I have to drop off 100 of these things. And so I had actually literally just done Pop-Bys to my top tier people. 2 weeks before the Popeye contest got announced. So I was like, okay,
such
what
good
am I gonna do
timing.
here? I did mums, which is what Andrea Stone did during the competition. I kind of we chatted through that. And so I had just done them. I was like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? But I know that I have kids and everybody's sick. And that's kind of how I came up with the idea. I'm pretty practical. So, like in the spring, I do little kits that are wasp sticky traps that are like $10 and I drop them off. And everyone seems to really appreciate things that they can use. And so that's kind
Yes.
of how I came up with what would I want. And I would definitely want some child Tylenol.
Yeah. Well, it's nice to the practicality aspect of it. And like some of those promo merch, all that stuff is really awesome to get. But you're right, a lot of people won't like actively use it. But
Yeah.
I love that thought. That's so awesome. Brandy, how about you?
Um, Remind me the question.
Just like initial expectations, initial thoughts, attitudes about the Popeye
So
contest.
I was a little bit lucky. I already had the idea. Somebody on the internet had talked about the fire blankets, and so I already had that idea, and I already had a bunch ordered. So I was planning on doing pop buys, and then the contest was announced, so that worked out really well. Um, but I had to think of some other ideas. Once I saw how many numbers Janae turned out, my competitiveness kicked in, and I had to
Yeah.
come up with some more ideas for the following weeks.
That's awesome. I love that. Erica?
Well, I guess mine was meant to be more of a summer pop by, but because mojito on a hot summer day can be pretty fantastic. But
Mhm.
so when this came out, my initial first thought was, oh, good, I needed this motivation because I'm way behind. Actually, I already had all the supplies. I had the cards already printed, and it's getting towards the end of the season for the mint as well. So this I used really as the catalyst I needed to get them going.
That's awesome. So you guys all kind of had a concept of the Popeyes going in. Like this obviously wasn't any of your first round of doing Popeyes. How long have you guys been doing them in your business?
Oh boy, I'm probably the one that's been around the longest. I would say probably 20 years. I think Megan and I started doing them right away when we first started.
And do you do them pretty regularly or is it kind of just when you get the urge?
I would love to say that I'm good at doing them all the time, but I'm not. I go in spurts and I tend to do a ton at once. I'm not very good at doing just a few all the time.
Yeah. That's awesome. So 20 years is an incredible amount of time. Um, and specifically for Popeyes, if you could describe how doing those have impacted your business or just your relationships with your people, how would you speak to that?
It really is. I wish I did them more and was better at doing them all the time because it's amazing the conversations that you end up having that you would not have run across. I did get, I think, 3 referrals and 1 listing from the pop buys that I did this fall. So, I mean, it's a no brainer that you should be doing them. And then it's always
Yeah,
fun. You've always got a certain number of clients that will take a picture of it and post it. And then, other people are like, hey, how come I didn't get anything? And so then I add them to my list.
Yeah, create that like FOMO, right? That's awesome. Taylor, Erica, do you guys have anything to speak to that in terms of kind of like those conversations and any business impact or just like relationship impact?
I mean, I wish that I had 3 referrals and a listing that came out of that's pretty amazing. I feel like it starts a lot of, really good conversations with people that I don't always talk about or, just hearing more things about what's happening in their lives. I feel like we help people buy and sell homes, which is, as we know, one of the most stressful things they do, and we become very, very close with them, and then we stay in touch, but not in the same way, so it's always good to drop things off, check on how everyone's doing, and kind of just get a little bit of a life update from everybody.
Yeah, that's awesome. Anything else, Erica?
I would say all my drops were very receptive. They thought it was a very fun thing. This was actually my first time of doing the traditional mass pop by. My others have been more of a notice to need type of thing.
Gotcha.
So it was a unique experience. It was my first time really doing it. So it was a little awkward at first. I felt a little awkward, but by the end it was a lot of fun.
Definitely. That's really exciting. So, I kind of want to get into like the overall experience of like these conversations. So, when you delivered your Popeyes, would you just like drop it off, ring the doorbell, wait for someone to answer? Is that kind of how you guys went about that? Or was it more of like a drop off, leave, text? How did you kind of approach that situation?
Mine were probably about
It just
50-50.
yeah.
I tried to warn people that I'd be bringing something by. Sometimes they were home and sometimes they weren't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Did you have,
I
sorry, you
have
can go.
small no, it's okay. I have small children, so I feel like I drop mine off more during the workday when they're at daycare, and that doesn't always be it's not always, like, the best time to see people, so I get a lot of, like, dropping things off, sending texts, checking in type of Popeyes
Definitely.
interactions.
That's awesome. So, Erica, you kind of talked about starting out was a little discomforting, a little uncomfortable. Could you just kind of, I want to hear your thoughts a little bit more on that, just kind of why in general, and then if or what you did to kind of overcome that and just get more comfortable in that space, because I would probably be the same way. I think Popeyes are something that would make me a little bit nervous. So I'm really interested to kind of see your progression with that.
Yeah, I think it's just getting in front of them. Ringing that doorbell is just a little bit nerve-wracking at first. You're a little worried, what are they gonna think? So it was just getting over those fears, I think, more than anything. The more you did it, the more comfortable you got, and the more appreciative you realize that they actually are. I
Right.
even got a thank you note for them. So it's it was just getting more comfortable with it. Just the repetition of doing it really helped me get over that and get a little confident with it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So kind of to that like challenges and kind of getting over that initial fear. I think that that's something that actually quite a few new agents struggle with. Whether it's maybe they don't have a large client base or maybe they're just again nervous to just knock on the door. From people with all different like a whole spectrum of experience here, how would you guys approach like talking to a newer agent about that, or any pieces of advice for kind of getting over that first hurdle and just getting into the Popeyes? Let's go Taylor first. Sorry, not to put
Um,
you on the spot there.
That's okay. I think that when I first started, I didn't have a ton of clients and I was like, who am I supposed to drop these off to? And I still think that I should be more creative with who I am reaching. And I tried to do that with my sick kits and not just send it and not just drop them off to clients that have bought and sold with me. And so I think having something in your car, like I did Girl Scout cookies one year, I dropped it off for my hair gal, and like doctor's offices that we're at a lot. And so being creative in who you're targeting because they might not be friends with you on social media, but there's somebody that you support their business. And so it's nice for them to hopefully want to support you back. And so I think just to be creative and think outside of the box and know that it's probably going to feel awkward. I know most of us don't like to feel super salesy, but we are in a sales job and we have to sell ourselves. So just kind of putting yourself out there.
I love that perspective. I think a lot of the time, some of that like B2B connections and some of those like potential vendor relationships are like overlooked, because obviously your client base isn't on their businesses. But I love that sense of like community building and trust. That's a really unique way of looking at that. I love that. Brandi, how about you?
I would say the one piece of advice I would give is that even 20 years later, I still get nervous the first few. And then it seems like once you've done two or three, you kind of know what you're going to say because it's like the first person that opens the door, I'm always like, hi, and so it just takes, you just got to do it. And it gets easier as you go. Um, but yeah, I agree. Going to businesses or places that you know more than one person, that's always a good thing too.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then Erica, we kind of started with you. So do you have anything else to add kind of at the tail end of that?
No, I really don't. It's just more about getting started and
Mhm.
keep on going. Yep.
Yeah, that I can only imagine how tough that first hurdle is just to get over. And like Pop-Bys, but and kind of in client events and a lot of other aspects of being a business owner as well. So thank you guys for sharing that. I really enjoyed that. I do have another question that I kind of want to get to before we slowly start wrapping up here. But if you were to do either this Popeye again, or if you have like a past Popeye that might work better, if you had to change anything or if there was anything that you maybe missed in the planning period or would maybe correct in another round, what would that be? If anyone has anything that immediately comes to mind.
I would probably get somebody to help me put all the bags and packages together. Probably not the best use of my time. And then they take a lot of room in your vehicle when you're trying to do a mass amount of them. But I was pretty happy with mine, I think.
Yeah, definitely. That's awesome.
Yeah, definitely having somebody to help would be huge. I think for me, it's kind of like holiday shopping where I buy a little bit of it and then I like it too much time has passed and then I buy a little bit more and then I buy a little bit more and then all of a sudden like I've spent way more money than I wanted to. Like getting children's Tylenol like the morning I was dropping them off because I thought, oh my gosh, they have to have kids Tylenol in here. And so for me, it's just like expediting of let's get everything in Amazon. Like, let's do this quicker in a
Right.
short amount of time. Because I do that with like a lot of my Popeyes where they'll be like, I'm working on them for a week because I'm just doing them in the meantime. And then I end up spending double what I planned because I just keep adding to it.
Yeah. Well, I think like a big part of Popeyes that kind of turns some people away is the expense part of it. Like if you do something bigger, a little bit more creative, crazy, whatever, that's going to be a little bit more money into it. So just setting that budget and kind of having like that plan out before, I think would be so helpful.
Yeah, I
That's
think they started at like, I think that they were each like under $10 easily. And then I had to add,
and
an $8 bottle of
then you like you
I'm
get
like,
it all done and you're looking at it.
everyone's sick. We have to have it. This is like the cherry on top, which I think most people did comment about that who had kids, but yeah, quicker time to complete them from start to finish.
The one thing
Definitely.
that I didn't do it this time, but years before, once I did them on a Saturday, and one year I did more of them at night. And I actually got my niece who had her driver's license, she was my driver. And so I just had a list with the addresses and she drove me, and that was so much easier I could just be ready, pop out, talk to them,
Right.
quick, drop it off, get back in, and we were off. So
Mhm.
quick tip.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. And then so Erica, you were kind of talking, this was your first like bulk, bigger pop by
Mhm.
experience, right? Anything that either again surprised you, you would go back and do again, or that being like this was your first time, anything that was just like you didn't expect, or coming in it from like no experience, just what are your thoughts about that?
I think more is the scheduling. I didn't probably schedule as much time as I needed to get it out. I tried to do it all in one day. Instead, probably should have spread it out a little bit. So that'd have been a little easier on me, I think. But that's probably the biggest thing for me.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, we're kind of about to wrap up here, but kind of my last big question, not really big question, but for you guys is super simple. Just your favorite part about Popeyes and your least favorite. And you can be as brutally honest as you want to, but you can take a few seconds to think about it, or if you have one, feel free to jump in.
I can go first. My least favorite part, and it's probably because we're in Des Moines, is that it's a lot of time in the car.
Yeah.
Because my clients are spread out from the top of Ankeny down to Norwalk to Adel to Indianola. And so sometimes it has to be over multiple days because I just cannot spend all of that time in the car. Even if I'm listening to a good book or a podcast, it's just a lot of time in the car. And my favorite part is the concept, like just building the concept and the marketing pieces and buying everything. And just helping other people in our office come up with fun ideas. That's just the best part for me.
Well, it's kind of like a fun little creative outlet for a little bit.
Yes.
Just like thinking through all the stuff you could put together and exactly like the marketing aspect of it. That's what I would love also. But
Yep.
I love that. Thank you.
I like the creative part of it. I would say always there's at least one or two clients that just want to talk and talk and talk. And you're like, I've got 80 more of these things to hand out. I got to go. But you can't, I mean, you don't want to cut them off either. So it's
Right.
great that they're happy to see you, but I really got to go.
That's such like a
I think that
Midwest happen too.
the time commitment is probably the hardest part, whether it's making it or putting it all together or just being in the car for that long just to try to drop them off. I'm from a small town, so I don't have to drive across Des Moines even, but just that commitment it is still a time commitment. But otherwise, it's fun and it's fun to get in front of your people and be able to say hi.
Yeah, I love that. And that's kind of like the point of it all, right? It's just those connections and just that top of mind awareness. And I think you guys show that extremely well. So, do you guys have any final thoughts, any final tips that you want to share with our audience today?
I don't think so.
All righty. Well, thank you again for joining me. Again, I have Taylor Hurd, Brandi Nelson, and Erica Bushaw with me today. Thank you guys so much.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.